Yochai, Shalom, 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 Bokotov, Kol Yisrael. Greetings and peace. My name is Nasik Ariel, Nakimiyahu, Bain Yahawada, Yehuda, Yisrael. I'm the chief prince and chief elder over the nation of Israel in captivity. I'd like to welcome you to the divine backdrop of where we are currently visiting up at Lake Geneva in Wisconsin, partaking of the feast of Chag Pesach and the feast of Chag Matzah, the unleavened bread. I had a number of questions that were raised to me that I'd like to answer. First of all, I've been in this walk active for over 32 years. I was born an Israelite like many of you who have been awakened by the Holy One of Israel's Spirit as it is moved upon you to elevate your consciousness to your identity, your culture, and your language. So, when I was asked last night, should Israel be in Israel, my answer to those who asked the question was simply Cain. Where else would an Israelite be but in the land of Haaretz, Yisrael? So for the last 30 years, we have continuously labored to make it a reality for Israelites to not only visit the land for a sacred visitation, but we have assisted Israelites in relocating to the land of Israel and living there. I've been to Israel more than 7 times on different occasions and different missions or assignments. And as recently as 5 years ago, we sent a family into Israel to live in Israel. They have not returned back to the land of the captivities. Prior to that, we sent numerous families in 2004 and 2005 who themselves have never returned back here to the lands of the great captivity and the great exile. So we believe that the Spirit of the Holy One of Israel is moving upon the valley of the dry bones. And according to how it is written in Zephaniah 2:1, we as a nation of people are to gather ourselves together, O nation not despised, before the great and dreadful day of Yah's judgment. Where will we gather? The gathering would take place in the lands of the great exile and captivity, and then subsequently we would return to the land of Haaretz Yisrael. How would we know when it is the time? The Messiah taught us that you would hear of wars and rumors of wars, of famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. That nation would rise against nation and kingdom would come against kingdom. That there would be famine and pestilence on the earth. So when we examine the current events in the earth today, we see that the current events on the earth today mirror the biblical prophecies that Hamashiach told us to look for as the signs of the latter times. We were also told that to look for the signs in the latter times of Israel being awakened. And so now we see Israelites being awakened, being brought out of the darkness into the marvelous light. What did Yah awaken us for? Did he awaken us to stay here in the lands of our enemies or in the lands of the great captivity? No. He awoken you. He awoken each and every one of you so that you would then take the initiative to move towards the spirit of truth and return back to the land of Israel. Every captivity that we have ever experienced, we came out of that captivity and we were restored. Where were we restored to? Into the lands of our captivity? No. We were restored back to that great, ancient, and glorious homeland of ours in the land of Haaretz Yisrael. So we simply are aware that it is a time based upon the prophetic utterances spoken through the mouth of the Holy One of Israel upon his prophets, and we see the manifestation of those prophecies today.
The 3 places that you said.
The 3 places that we could go, first we have to understand where the wilderness is, because that's a phrase that's been used since the elders in Israel were conscious here in the captivity. So in the 50s, they used to tell people, we got to flee to the wilderness when Jacob's trouble occurs. And in the 60s, they said it. In the 70s, they said it. When my spiritual blindness was taken away in the 80s, some 30 years ago, they said it, and I asked the question, which wilderness? And no one answered it. And so today, when you pose the question and they ask, well, we got to go, or they say, we got to go to the wilderness, and I pose the question, which wilderness? They can't answer it because they don't know. We are told that we must either go to the valley of Achor, which is in the 2nd book of Hosea, And it says that the valley of trouble, because Achor is named according to the sin of Achan, which is in the book of Joshua chapter 7. We are to take the valley of trouble, and Yah said he will turn it into a door of hope. So Israel would go there. The next place Israel could hide would be in Kadesh Barnea. Why? It was the wilderness that we spied out before we first entered the promised land. The second place would be the walled city of Petra near Jericho, carved out of red stone rock. Is this ancient city where Israel is recorded in the scriptures to find refuge. Last and certainly not least, in the book of Revelation chapter 12, it says that she, meaning Israel, was given the wings of a great eagle, where she would fly into the wilderness, hidden from the face of the dragon for 1,260 days, or a times and a half a time, or 3.5 years, or 42 months. Israel is hidden in the wilderness from the face of the great persecutor. We can clearly quote Deuteronomy 28 and say that I will bring a nation against you from afar, from the ends of the earth, as swift as an eagle fly, a nation whose language you will not understand, and say unequivocally that is America, because of the representation of the eagle, the great eagle. But we can't connect the dots and understand that the same great eagle is referred to in the book of Revelation chapter 12 as being used as the apparatus that would take Israel into the promised land during the restoration period. Hallelujah. The scripture talks about that the Exodus that is to come is to mirror the one that was like in the book of Egypt. This is spoken through the mouths of Yah's holy prophets whenever we're referring to the Akarit HaYamim, or the great last days. And so the first thing Israel has to do is brought to some level of awakenedness. They're awakened. Once they're awakened by the blast of the trumpet, then you're brought out of the darkness into the marvelous light. And then events on earth through the hand of Yah Yisrael, where the scripture says that I will set forth my hand a second time and regather my people from a worldwide dispersion. And then out of Isaiah chapter 11, verse 10 and 11 through 14, he begins to enumerate the various different places of the great captivity that Israel will be regathered from and restored to. The scriptures also say in Isaiah that the ships of Tarshish will come and regather the people. Then the scripture says in the latter days, for those who are being regathered, that it says, bring my sons from the north and my daughters from the south. Say unto the west, give them up, and unto the east, don't hold them back. For kings shall be your foster fathers, and queens your nursing mothers, for you shall possess. I say the scripture says, you shall possess the wealth of the Gentiles. So the riches of the earth, that labor that your fathers and mothers toiled for from King to see morning to King to see night, where they worked for 250 years for free, that labor that the earth has accumulated through the broken backs and the blood of your ancestors will be given unto you, just like it was given unto our ancestors when they came out of Egypt. But we came out that night after Passover with gold and silver and fine raiment. We call it the divine coming out of Egypt ball, where we return to the land with the wealth of the heathen. What is that used for? Not making any golden calf. It is used for the institutions of Israel, the restructuring of Israel, and the infrastructure of Israel.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Prince.